Hey everyone, if you are looking for sustainable teaching practices that help you be more efficient and effective as a paraprofessional teacher or leader in this crazy education ecosystem, you're in the right place.
Coffee on the counter, calendar in view. Got a room full of futures and a plan that's tried and true. I've done the late nights, I felt the burnout. Now I choose what feeds me and still brings the best out. Sustainable teaching, I can lead and still be breathing. Strong and steady, I'm increasing. Sustainable teaching, that's in the rhythm of my freedom. This is how I start my day believing.
Hey everyone, my name is Rae Hughart. This is Sustainable Teaching Podcast, and we have Cheryl here with us. Cheryl, I am so unbelievably excited that we get to catch up and chat on the pod.
Hi, Rae. It's so good to be here. I'm so excited to just catch up. It's been a long time. I feel like it's almost been maybe a year since maybe that amount.
The problem is I don't know because you are so on my newsfeed. Like every social media, especially Facebook, like I sign in, there's something going on with you. It's some accomplishment or award or new accreditation or something. And so, or you're singing, like all I do, I think I could truly be on your board of fan clubs. And so, like while we may not have caught up, I have so many questions for you and updates I want to hear because I love following your journey. So for our educators here that may not yet stalk you like I do you mind sharing a little about what you do in education?
Yes. So my name is Cheryl Graff. This is my 9th year as a teacher. I'm currently a special education teacher in the city of Chicago. I teach high school, so 9th through 12th grade, primarily sophomores. In addition to that, I have a lot of certifications, as Rae has mentioned. I am a Google champion. It's not called Google certified anymore. It's called Google champion.
Okay.
So I have my certified trainer. I'm a Google certified trainer, ISTE certified educator. And now this year, I am a Fulbright TGC. So it's the Fulbright Global Classrooms Fellow. It's a mouthful, but it's amazing. It's been a blast. So I love infusing educational technology and global education into my classroom. I've done cultural exchanges where I've taken students overseas, and I plan transition trips, even just locally in Chicago, to get students beyond the classroom walls. And then in my free time, as Rae mentioned briefly, I love singing. It's just something that is a hobby of mine. I thought I was going to go into music education for a long time. And I was just like, I want this to be a hobby of mine. So I have actually, I'm not a professional singer. I call myself semi-professional, but I've still won quite a few awards recently. I almost got to go to the American Vocal Traditions Competition, which is in Savannah, Georgia. It's like one of the most prestigious vocal competitions in the country. So I was an alternate, but I'm not sad that I didn't get accepted because I was up against people who've done Broadway contracts and jazz contracts and everything. So it's such a huge honor to be recognized in that sense. So I could go on and on about my accomplishments, but I know we want to get to other things. But
Honestly, Cheryl, I am committed for the next hour. I think we just talk about all your accomplishments. I think we don't get into any recommendations, but here's what I love about you, Cheryl. Every time I connect with you, whether it's stalking on social media or anything, you are such an inspirational person. And I don't think that you do it for other people. Like, I think you truly are like, I love to be a learner. I like, because I see it in you, I hear it in you. And yet every time I see you have an accomplishment or a concert or a moment or a student win, I get like amped up. Like, I know we're going to talk a little bit about, kind of getting that fire back in your love for something, education specifically. I know we'll get into, but that's how I feel following you. You give people this like burst of energy, and you have to know that. That's a big deal.
That means a lot that you say that, Rae, because like I said, I didn't go into teaching for, the paycheck. It's that's definitely not what teaching is. This is something that I'm truly passionate about. Not just it's not about the money and the awards for me. It's about just making a difference, whether that's making a difference in my classroom with students or just bringing joy to myself and making a difference in my own community. So that means a lot that you notice that you see that it's not just, about awards and money. That's definitely not why I went into education. So
Absolutely. And I do have to say, we have to talk more about this amazing fellowship that you're a part of now. But as a former special education student myself, I always, every time I talk to you, I'm like, by the way, thank you so much for what you do. I was SLD in reading, writing, and math all through high school, dropped services my senior year. And it was such a big deal. Some of my favorite special education teachers I had in high school. And so I really appreciate the work that you do. And you make such an impact, and very often you don't even know the massive impact you make. And that's so true for so many educators. So I really, really appreciate it.
well, thank you. Thank you. That means a lot.
So tell us about this new activity, the fellowship that you're a part of now, because it is a very well-known name. It is something that everyone, I'm sure, has heard of. And I can only imagine that the application was daunting. I mean, this is something I know people apply multiple times for, don't get into. You got in. How does that work?
Yeah, so I actually got into the Fulbright TGC program on my first try, which is unheard of. A lot of people apply twice, 3 times more. So this program is really unique. It is designed specifically for classroom teachers. I think a lot of people, when they hear Fulbright, they know of the year-long program or semester long, or sometimes they have like 4 to 6 week programs, but this one is specifically designed for classroom teachers. So it is a fully funded year-long professional development opportunity. And I got accepted, it was last July, June, I think, if I remember. And what happens is the first semester of the fellowship, you take a global education course. So you learn what is global education, how do you implement it into your classroom. And what I love about the program, it's not completely revamping your curriculum. It's taking the curriculum you have and just making it more engaging, which is awesome. And it makes the curriculum you're teaching more sustainable. For instance, in my classroom, we do a lot of short stories. Rather than, just changing what we do, we read the short stories now and not just say, okay, what is the main idea or why did the character do this? But I focused on global topics, and I had students connect to the global topics of how it applies to their own life. One of the stories that we read is The Most Dangerous Game, which is very, very intense. If you're not aware of it, it brings up a lot about dehumanization and AI. And I started posing activities and questions to my students about their thoughts about AI, which led into many research projects and passion projects. So I really love that. And in addition to that global education course, you are assigned another teacher who is part of the fellowship like you are. And we did inter-school activities. So I was assigned to a teacher in rural Kansas, and her class and my class had a global discussion around a text, and we used the Canva whiteboard. It was amazing. And my students started asking questions, not just about the text, but about where her students live, their favorite hobbies. So that was called the inter-school activity. And so that was just amazing the first semester. This past week, I would say, I was invited to a global symposium. So that's also part of the program. So once you've successfully completed the course, it's very rigorous, you are invited to a global symposium. So I get to meet all of the other educators who are part of the Fulbright TGC program. And I think we were the largest class this year. It's about 120, 150 US educators from around the country. So I met my inter school activity teacher. We took photos together. It was so awesome. And in addition to that, you are assigned a cohort either in the spring or the summer. You get to go on an international field experience. It's not an educational tour. I don't want like our listeners, viewers to think it in that sense. You are assigned a host teacher way in advance. You plan lessons. You get to go into their classroom and observe other classes and meet with diplomats, maybe meet with the mayor, maybe be introduced to their family, plan cultural visits. And it's a 3-week international field experience. By the way, everything, the trip to Washington, D.C., which is where the global symposium is, and then your international field experience, flight is fully paid for, food, hotel, it's fantastic. So can't recommend it enough. And I am going to be headed to Peru this summer for 3 weeks. So I'm really excited. And at the symposium this past week, I got to meet the 14 other educators that I'm going to be traveling with. So it's an incredible program. In the end, too, I mean, a lot of people are like, "Oh, is this going to be a vacation for you?" No. They they put us to work, but it's good work. It's all like sustainable teaching, that little tidbits that you can bring back to your classroom, whether it's global education warm-ups or lessons. It's all been just sustainable teaching. At the very end of the program, I will be creating like a capstone, a global education guide. It's very intense, but it's just all the work that I've been doing in my classroom and the things that I'll learn during my international field experience. So it's been great so far. I really love this program and I highly recommend it.
I mean, holy moly, it sounds amazing. And this is really a beautiful culmination of like so many different things you've done. I feel like some of the other credentialing you started maybe a little small, then you built your way up. Now you're in this year-long, very, very acclaimed program. And I think it's so nice to have these reminders in education that those moments don't end when you graduate college, that you're able to still go back for not only the professional development that means a lot, but the professional development that is doing the good work. I love the number of times you said sustainable teaching was unbelievable. And that's obviously what we care about. But people, whether you're listening live or catching this on the podcast, the opportunity to tweak what you currently have, to reflect on what you're currently doing, that's the work that really enacts change versus a fellowship that walked in and said, Cheryl, you've been teaching for 9 years, but everything you're doing sucks. You should start all over. That's not how we enact change. At some big system that requires you to completely overhaul all of what you've known is usually not going to be sustainable 99% of the time. So I love that you're reflecting on these opportunities to use the curriculum you have, use the experience you have, use the students you're working with, and really make this change. We are going to keep this conversation going, Cheryl. Don't go anywhere. We're getting into some tips and tricks. This episode is brought to you by the Teachers Deserve It Blueprint, a done-for-you system for building a classroom that works without burnout. If you're tired of piecing it together on your own, this is your framework. See what's inside at teachersdeserveit.com. Cheryl, I can only imagine the things that you are learning, not only from the fellowship itself, from all your credentialing, but also just through the people that you're networking with, the people you're traveling with, the people that you're meeting at different symposiums. This is such a cool opportunity. If you had to identify Something that has really helped with this sustainability concept of keeping you in the field. I mean, 9 years, educators usually hit that point or they don't. And it's a staggering number, the educators that don't stay in the field, even 10 years. So, what has really helped make this sustainable for you so that every day when you're working with students, you continue to, not burn yourself out?
That's a good question. I think for me, it's finding things that I'm really interested in. I love travel, and that's one of the ways that I've really kept the momentum of teaching going. I, you know, Googled and found a teaching experience overseas in Israel one summer because I love travel. And then I was able to work with educators overseas. This Fulbright Global Classrooms program is all about learning how to infuse global education and other cultures. So I think for me, and my advice I would give to our listeners, our viewers, is finding something that you're passionate about, and that will really help keep your teaching momentum going. Whether it's coaching a sports team, whether it's running an extracurricular club like a culture club, which I run at my school, whether it's wanting students to see the world, awesome. Figure out how to make that happen at your school, whether maybe it's a virtual partnership or it's an in-person partnership. So I've always just have this love and passion for travel, community partnerships, and I've tried to integrate that into my classroom to have my students be willing and vulnerable to be global citizens or give back to their community. So I think it's just finding something that you're passionate about really keeps me going as a teacher.
It's interesting, Cheryl, because I feel as though I've personally gone through this over the last year or so where I finally got settled in a role that I cannot tell you enough how much I love it. And it's not because it's an easy role, it's because I'm really passionate about it, right? The same is true when I was, teaching full time, and you have this moment where you're going through a lot of motions. Maybe you run a club, maybe you teach a cool topic, maybe you're working in a cool school, but everything is just kind of you're doing what you're doing because you're supposed to. And if you don't have that avenue of that thing you love as a leader, that spark does dwindle a bit. It's not that you can't get it back, but if you keep it unlit for a long period of time, you almost forget about how powerful it was to have it, And for some people, their spark doesn't come from school, and they go home and they have the coolest household with full of kids, or they have amazing animals or pets or friends or spouses at home. For me, and I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I feel like for you, I like having little projects that are somehow professional geared. I don't know how to explain it, but that really helps the learner in me, the fire in me, keep lit.
Well, I think also too, for me, another thing is music, which is something that I do for fun. And that really ignites, teaching is a lot. We really have to provide for others and support our students and work with colleagues. I mean, I team teach with wonderful colleagues, but it's a lot of effort and energy. And over these 9 years, I've really had to make time for myself and bring in hobbies that are very just wonderful for me. So I think taking time to have a routine outside of school and bringing that back into the classroom. Like I love going to Pure Barre. That's my new favorite Pilates exercise routine. And sometimes I'll go into the classroom the next day and I just have a conversation with students like, oh, I'm so sore from this workout that I did. And then we just get into this passionate conversation about exercise and things like that. So I think it's also having passions like travel and also taking time for yourself and doing self-care. And I just bring in little stories into the classroom that excite my students too. And sometimes we get on a tangent and away from the lesson, but that's okay because I know that I've made those strong connections with students. And I think that's really important.
Well, and you bring up such an amazing point. I know that so many people, can talk about the balance of life and, does the balance exist? And, you have to have a good place that you are in your personal world and your professional world. It's interesting. This is the first conversation I've had recently that is a reminder that with that personal and professional life that you want to keep some balance in with the beautiful hobbies and the support systems on both ends, that there might also be a professional side project or spark that keeps you innovative, keeps you learning. And some years are better than others. I know some years I was really eager to learn, and other years learning just was listening to a podcast, and that's okay too. So but it's so cool that you have been so ambitious with your credentialing and also other avenues to explore travel, that you've connected back to education and reminding educators that exists. I mean, it's amazing what you can Google these days.
You just bring, I feel like every time I do a trip overseas, if it's, with Fulbright or another professional development opportunity, or I travel on my own, or even if it's with students, I love seeing different education systems around the world. I can always bring back some type of nugget. It may not be a full lesson, but it could be a strategy or something I never thought of. And I could bring it back to my own classroom. And it may not work at the end of the day, but that's one of the joys for me. And I think that's another reason why I've stayed in teaching so much and so long so far. I mean, I know I'm not considered a veteran yet. Some people would say I'm still a baby in the profession, in the teaching profession, but that really is what brings me a lot of joy, is learning from other educators, whether they're, local in the US or just globally.
Yeah.
That's just something that I really enjoy.
Yeah, we do a lot of funding locating or funding supporting for different schools and teachers in our community. And if anyone's interested, you can go to teachersdeserveit.com, scroll all the way down like to the footer. There's like a funding button. And we find funding all the time for schools that, want to support their educators better. We write the grants, all that. I wonder if a piece of what we should incorporate in is like teacher travel. There's got to be so many grants or other funding opportunities to locate travel, support, finance, like funding for educators. We'll have to add that in. Maybe
that would be really cool. I'd love to do like a partnership where even if it's just I go to, because I'm in Chicago, I'm in Illinois, if I go and travel to like Wisconsin,
right?
Like, stay with a teacher and their family or visit a school. I think that would be so cool.
I'll have to look into it. I'll have our team kind of do a little hunt. That'll be awesome.
Yeah. To even just do a US partnership where I stay, in a town or something like that in the United States. Yeah. I kind of wish we would do more of those. I'm sure there are travel opportunities and things, but I haven't had time to look into those, but that would be really cool.
Well, I'll get our team on it. I'll give you an update, Cheryl. That'll be the next credentialing you'll do.
There we go.
We do have some questions submitted by our community, so we're going to dive into those. Stick with us. Before we wrap up, if you're not subscribed to the Sustainable Teaching Substack, you're missing out. Every Friday, you'll get an episode plus a free download resource. Subscribe for free over at our Substack. And if you have any questions you want answered in a future episode, drop them over at teachersdeserveit.com by direct messaging the team or emailing Olivia at teachersdeserveit.com. Cheryl, I'm so excited to dive into these questions because while they are random and we just throw together 3 every time, I just feel like somehow these were made for you. Like I felt this way on a few episodes. I feel like we have this weird thing happening, but okay, here we go. This one says, I'm a high school Spanish teacher and I'm also Latina. My students and their parents assume I'm available 24/7 to help translate documents, interpret at meetings, and help with immigration paperwork. None of this is actually my job, but I do want to help my community. I really do. but I'm being asked to carry the weight that no one else on staff is expected to carry, and I don't get paid any extra or release time. Last month, I stayed 3 hours after school helping a mom fill out paperwork and missed my own daughter's event. So while I'm trying to set a boundary, how do I protect myself?
That's a lot, and I've been there. I think one of the first strategies, I don't know whoever submitted this, one of the things that I would do is have office hours or some type of appointment system. We're a Google school in my school community. So I have I know on Google Calendar, there's something called appointment slots.
Yeah.
I think also this teacher, I know she wants to give back to her community a lot, but also you have to balance, your personal and professional boundaries right there. So I would almost give, the families that she's working with or the people that she's working with, maybe community resources, and having them go there and just be very transparent, be honest, just be like, hey, I wish I had more time to sit down with you, but I really think that these resources will help you. I've done that a lot in the past where, I really want to make lots of time to help individuals, but, I got to have that self-care balance. So I would say maybe some type of office hours, sharing some resources. And one question that I have maybe in response to that is I'm wondering if she's reached out to her admin to support her with this, because it sounds like she is getting a tremendous amount of paperwork and really wants to help the kids and the families. But at the end of the day, we really got to balance our work life and personal life. Right. So I think it is an important conversation to have with her admin and see if they can help step in and help support the family more. I know not every school has this, but at my school, we have counselors, we have a health center. So I'm wondering if that teacher can if they don't have those resources in their school, maybe connect them with some local agencies. I think that's really important. And just be very transparent, because it sounds like she's got a lot going on. And back in my early days of teaching, I was the same way. I really wanted to help all of my students, all of my families. But at the end of the day, I've got to take care of myself as well. So I think it's really important to not be afraid to just be transparent and really say to that family, that students, hey, these are some really good agencies that can help you, giving them those resources. So.
I think there's so many good pieces there, so many suggestions that you've shared. I mean, having an availability schedule really sets a boundary of I am available. Here is where that availability lives. Yeah. I love connecting to community resources. I would add in tech resources. That's a great way to help. And they're really, translation from one language to another is so challenging. But when we can connect our community with some of those resources that they can use over and over again, that can be huge help. So great idea, Cheryl. Let's jump into this next one. It says, I've been a band director for 19 years. I've built this program from the ground up, 200 kids, state championships, the whole thing, but I'm done. It says, my doctor says my blood pressure is dangerous. I've missed every holiday for way too long. And I don't know who I am without this job, and it terrifies me. Everyone keeps telling me I am so lucky to have had such a successful program, but I'm literally killing myself to maintain it. How do I walk away from something that I built?
Ooh, that is a really tough question to answer.
It's like your baby.
It is. Yeah. It is because I've experienced that in my teaching so far, and it's hard, but it sounds like, at the end of the day, your health is the most important. And I've just started to really develop that routine within the past 3 years. And I've been teaching for 9 years. I'm not afraid to say to the audience, very recently, it took me about, I want to say 1.5 years. It's been almost 2 years. I have lost 85 pounds. And
Ooh,
that, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And I am a big component that if your health is getting in the way of your job, you really have to set some boundaries and take time for yourself and balance your health and your teaching. So for me, like I said, I'm very into Pure Barre. Not everybody is. I like the group exercise classes because they really coach you and push you. I can't go to a gym on my own and do a workout. It's not the same.
Yeah.
And in my calendar every week, I schedule, okay, I'm going to go work out at this time. And I even set alarms on my phone at school being like, it's 3:30, I got to go, so I have an hour to get ready and go to the gym. And so I'm planning that. It does take a lot of planning, but I'm a big component that your health is the most important thing. And I've seen that with teaching. When I didn't manage my health, I was more tired, I was anxious more. So I've really made a commitment of taking care of myself, because if you don't take care of yourself first, you can't give back to others. I think in terms of it sounds like this is their baby, this band program. It's amazing. I'm wondering if they can maybe integrate some student leaders into helping them. The cultural exchange program that I run at my school, it's a lot. And I was running it by myself. And it wasn't until the last year or so that I'm like, I have some students who are really passionate about this. And I got them involved planning, the hosting, planning the events, coordinating with the other students. So I'm wondering if they can get some student leaders involved. Maybe I know some of the paperwork is like teacher based and, the adult has to do that, but maybe in terms of like practice schedules, again, I'm not a band teacher, but I know that they do a lot of concerts, but maybe student leaders can help with like sectional rehearsals, communicating with families about concerts. So that's what I'm thinking. Get student leaders involved.
Yeah, I
Uh,
love the opportunity of having student leaders involved and mentoring the next teacher, whether, like I know this is your project and your baby. Maybe it doesn't mean you step away 100%
right.
right off the bat, but you can mentor somebody to slowly start taking things off your plate. And, if you need any help
Yeah.
figuring out how to fund that, let our team know. That's another thing that we can try
I
to find.
even thought about maybe they need to revamp the program. If it's too overwhelming for them,
Yeah.
maybe they need to revamp it. For instance, we're kind of revamping our exchange right now because due to immigration, ICE stuff going on, we just don't have students who can host. So our exchange is usually like we go to another country and stay with students in that country, and they go to school and then they come to Chicago and stay with our students. I couldn't find enough student hosts and family hosts, and it was very stressful. So right now we're revamping the program and looking at other opportunities where maybe we don't host, but we're looking at an opportunity where kids still get to go overseas. And there is a travel agency that's going to be doing a lot of the legwork. So it's less of me planning, because it was getting to be very stressful. And I had to sit back and think about, okay, it's a lot, and I still want to do the travel with students, but let's look at other options.
Yeah, no, it's a great opportunity there to say, hey, maybe this is a sign. Let's do a big deep dive reflection. How can we revamp this program so it's more sustainable? Oh, as always, Cheryl, great recommendations. Stick with us as we share how you can connect with Cheryl and follow everything she's doing on her journey, not just the education related stuff. Sustainable Teaching is brought to you by Teachers Deserve It, the professional development company built on one belief. Teaching shouldn't cost you your weekends, your health, or your love for this work. Learn more at teachersdeserveit.com. Cheryl, it has been such a joy catching up with you. You are truly like a burst of energy. You relight my like internal flame every time. And while I have like 100 more things I want to catch up with you on, we have to wrap up this podcast. So I would love to give our community a way to connect with you so that they can not only follow what you're doing, but maybe even reach out if they have any questions.
Yeah, thank you so much, Rae, for having me on. I love just reconnecting and catching up. It's been a blast. So you can follow me on Instagram. That's really where I mainly post, at Miss Graff's Room. Great name. And you'll not just see teaching posts. I like to post music things. I like to post my exercise routines uh, after a good workout. So you'll see lots of fun stuff on there. I am also on LinkedIn. My full name, Cheryl Graff. So feel free. Those are kind of the best avenues. I used to be on a lot more social media, but again, boundaries, trying to manage personal work things. I've been focusing a lot on LinkedIn and Instagram. So feel free to, direct message me on those avenues, platforms. And just, I'd love to connect, collaborate, whether it's planning a new lesson, whether it's just giving you tips about how to make teaching more sustainable. I don't have all the answers, but I do have 9 years of experience from, going from low points to high points in teaching. And I'd love to connect, in any avenues. So.
So fun. Friends, if you have any issues connecting with Cheryl, just let me know. I would love to get you connected. Reach out to anybody on our team. Cheryl, thank you so much for being on the pod. This is awesome.
Thank you for having me.
Sustainable teaching.